Okay. And then we're going to go over to Facebook.
This is very techie of you. I don't
It is
understand
techie.
how to do that.
Just saying.
Great.
I know some stuff. It's like this much stuff, but it is some stuff.
It's a trick. Magic.
And I'm going to close that window. I've got these amazing birds streaming outside, which is what I wanted to like. I love that, but then the cars go by and it gets really loud. So hold on. Okay. One sec. I'll tell you when we're live. So like whatever soul, wit, and wisdom means to you, like it's basically like, it really is just a continuation. It's a deeper conversation about what we're doing on Sundays.
I love it.
What's the opportunity right now? You know, talking about you, promoting you. Megs.
Aww.
I love you.
I literally have a sweatshirt with that embroidered on it too, actually.
Megs.
Yay.
Okay. That's not working. Okay. I'm going to try. Okay, I'm going to just do this for regular style. Okay. Waiting. Well, it says we're streaming on Facebook.
Wow.
Well, we did it. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good middle of the night, wherever you're watching from today, whether it's live or the recording. I am with one of my all-time favorite people. I don't know if you saw my, like I tagged you and stuff on Facebook, and I was like, this is one of my all-time favorite people. Literally,
Aww.
like I love you so much, and I want to introduce you to people who don't know you, and hopefully, well, I think by the end of our talk today, it will be clear why I love you so much. This is Christina Miglino. She is a shamanic guide, an energy intuitive, a visionary artist, and she channels a group of guides called the Three. We can talk about that in a little bit. She has spent years studying performance, visual art, shamanism, energy medicine, Buddhist psychology, attachment theory, family constellations, and meditation. What she does out in the world is she supports women individually and in groups to call back their power, to trust themselves and spirit, to align with their mission, to listen to their intuition, and to create a magical and joyful life of love and service. I mean, what more can I say? Christina, thank you. I love you. Maybe like we just take this time and just stare at each other for a minute.
I love you so much.
I love you. I know you're up to a lot. I know you're out creating and giving and serving women in your communities. And I know if you have seen our Sunday, what I'm calling, and like secretly calling it our Sunday sermons, like our Sunday sermon services, like our gives out to the world. You've seen Christina on the Rise Up Leaders collective conversation that we have every Sunday morning. But I wanted to bring her on here because she is literally one of my favorite people. She's also a spiritual mentor to me. And I wanted her to share her wit and her wisdom with you as well.
Oh, I love wit and wisdom. How genius is that?
It's just a little bit like, yeah, that's kind of like wit. Like I can't get away with no wit. I try my hardest to be professional. I try really hard to not make funny faces and crack jokes, and it's just not. And then I go, no, that's who I am, right? Like it's just part of me. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
So what I wanted to just start out with is having you kind of tell a little bit of your history. Like I always think it's just fascinating. How did you get where you are right now? And obviously it's a lifetime of stuff, but you have dealt with some shit. You have dealt with some shit in your life, physical stuff. And I just think it's so fascinating and it's powerful what you've created out of that.
Yeah.
Go wherever you want to go, sister.
Oh my goodness. Well, I created a full life. I really did.
Mhm.
From the time I was really young, I remember actually thinking this thought when I was little, like I was probably in like junior high or something. And remember MySpace?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I remember having a MySpace and it said, you write your profile and I wrote, I want to have a full life. And it was
Wow.
like, well, both I already knew I had a very full life, but I think that really was genuinely what I came here to experience.
Mm.
And what does that mean, right? Because it's like, well, it's one thing to want it, and it's a whole nother thing to experience it.
Mhm.
And the fullness of being human, and that the fullness of being human is not one-sided. It's not like it's just the joy and the light and the love and I love all of that. Like, yes, please, more. I want more of that. One of the things that, these guides that I work with, which to me, by the way, don't need names. Even the three, it's like I was like, guys, just give me something here. But they don't care. God or universe or spirit, there's a lot of names for the interconnectedness of all things. The guides that I like to work with, I call them the three. Meh, does the name matter? Not so much, not really. But it does support my life to feel them and to feel supported and to feel like I have these benevolent beings that are lifting me up in every moment of this very full life. So where was I going with that? So what they show me is that even though for a lot of the way we've had it for this lifetime that we've lived feels like there's the light and the dark, there's the night and the day, there's right and wrong and these things, but what they show me is that it's really a spectrum. It's a spectrum. So what's really cool is it's like you think of like the color wheel,
Mhm.
you've
Mhm.
seen like the visual color wheel.
Yep.
It's like that, like the light and dark at one point they come together and they're one,
Mm.
right? So it's a full spectrum. So when I think of a full life, I think of the spectrum of the color wheel and I think, well, gosh, I've really experienced all those damn colors, haven't
Yeah.
I?
Yeah.
From one end to the other of the
Yeah.
wheel, of the circle. So I can go into specifics if you want me to, but I don't
I-
know. That's what came out.
Yeah. I love the three. Um, I'd love for you to speak into some of when you said a full life, all the colors, it really does include, you know, the light and the dark. It includes the 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 colors that bring us to our knees. And for me, for me, those moments are like question everything, like WTF or why or what's the purpose? Like that's what it's been for me. And if you could just talk a little bit into what were some of those early things that in your life you were given to you
Yeah.
that
Ooh,
were
I
the
just
hard
got
ones.
chills.
I
That was
know.
good.
I know.
That was good, Kristen.
I'm funny.
You're funny. You're the best. Really though, I'll just say that like if I could spend my life doing one thing, it would be being here with Kristen and getting to talk about all the things.
We
So
almost didn't like go live. I was like, can we just sit here? Just talk. I mean, like it's so, but you know what? Here's what's true about that for me. It feeds my soul. Like it
mm,
feeds the highest parts of me. So I
mm,
mean, I look in your direction and I'm like, this woman feeds the highest parts of me. She sees the highest parts of me. She pulls them forth out of me. And so that's why I could spend you guys, we might just end it right here. Let's just stare at each other.
no, you're
I
crying.
love that. I'm glad I'm making you cry because you're receiving that. You're receiving how amazing you are and that it's so great because like you listening to your guides, to your truth, to your highest self has impacted so many people and I'm one of them. And it's
Mm,
profound.
wow, thank you. So It's 111, you guys. That's so dope. It's 111. Okay, so
Right then.
that's when my like teenager comes out. It's dope, you guys.
Hey, I called you dope on my page.
Really? That's
Yes,
so
I did.
great.
I did.
So now you know that Kristen and I could have been best 12-year-old friends.
BFFs at 12.
Yeah.
So the best times to be BFFs is that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been through some shit, is my point.
The point is,
Hard dash shit.
what's so cool, okay, here's how we're going to relate to this shit,
Let's
is
do it.
that, you know, everything that we experience up until this present moment has given us the soul crumbs to understand our purpose. Everything. Yes.
Given us the soul crumbs. The soul, SOUL, like breadcrumbs.
Like breadcrumbs.
Right.
Yeah.
To discover our purpose?
Yeah, to understand our purpose, to understand ourselves and why we chose to be here, why we chose to come to Earth right now.
Right? More about that.
So like every experience, every human being that's crossed your path, you know, everything has left these little crumbs to show you who you are. And one of the big, it was a big boulder crumb in my life was having so I had a really interesting childhood in that I grew up Catholic. I was a very, very devout Catholic little girl, like very much so. Like I knew all of the saints. I knew all the prayers. I was obsessed with my connection to God. Wow. Now the Catholic part, you know, when I was little, it didn't matter what that meant, but it was the connection that was so strong for me at a very, very young age. And thank goodness, you know, like thank goodness, because I had a really kind of intense childhood.
Yeah.
And the part that I'll share today is that I had migraine headaches. You know, I didn't even realize this till recently that my mom said my first one was like 3.5 years old. Like that seems so little to have such severe pain. And it was when so it got worse and worse as I got older, and I got sicker and sicker until I was hospitalized. And, you know, the short story is that after months and months of in and out of the hospital, they had me hospitalized to run all these tests to try to figure it out. And a couple big things happened. One, they did an MRI. They diagnosed me with a brain tumor at 8 years old. They said that it's in the middle of my hypothalamus. So get this, like how freaking cool is this? I have a tumor in the very center of my brain.
Wow.
The very center. And they talk about, I mean, I won't go into the hypothalamus, but interesting place to have this abnormality, right? The very center of the brain. And they basically said, not only could this not be causing your headaches, this has nothing to do with that, but you're probably not going to live through this. So they told my parents this. You know, I was so sick that I literally was like, okay, like I was ready to surrender it all, like take me away from this. And I was on a lot of drugs. Like that's the other thing is they keep you really numb, you know? And so I was like, I was still in horrible pain, but on these drugs that made everything confusing, which is very interesting to me. So they didn't know what was wrong. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. They moved me to the psychiatric ward of Children's Hospital to basically move in there to say, we're going to work on pain management therapy with her. That's what they told my parents. And the wild thing is they ended up doing like behavioral modification therapy, which is like, essentially you have rules around what behavior you're allowed to have and what things you're not allowed to have. And like, I couldn't put my head in my hand. That was one of the rules because they're basically saying like, she's nuts, right? They're like, we don't know what's wrong with this little girl. Maybe she wants attention. You know, because
there was no physiological, they couldn't find. Yeah.
They couldn't figure it out. And so this is what Western medicine does. Now, bless you if you work in this system,
Yeah.
because there are many, many phenomenal healthcare providers. So I'm not dissing that in any way.
Right.
It's just with any one system, there's going to be limitations, And I'm not a victim of this, by the way. Like, I created this perfectly because in the hospital, I had a near-death experience. So one night I was praying to God to take me away. I was like, I'm done. This is horrible. There's nothing left. I can't move. I'm in this weird white room. Like, what? It's weird.
And you were 8?
I was 8. I was 8. And I remember it like it was yesterday, and I prayed to God to take me away. And I did have that experience of I went completely out of body into this tunnel of white light. I was traveling, and these angels appeared to me, these enormous angels. Like, you can't even comprehend. Like, if you've ever had visions or sensed angels, they're like these massive energies. And these 2 angels, the most beautiful things I'd ever seen or heard or experienced in my life, just came in like full on. And they were like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You know what to do. You're going to get through this. Like, that was the message. And the next morning I woke up. So I can't tell you exactly what else happened. Like, I was in so much pain. All I remember is the next morning I got out of my little bed and like drew a picture. I have these like this really cute like pencil drawing of the angels.
Do you still have that?
Yeah, it's somewhere in
I
here. Yeah,
want to
it's
see
somewhere.
that someday.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nothing that
I don't
special,
care. I
but
still want to see it.
yeah, it's very cute,
Yeah.
right? It was like very sweet.
I have an 8-year-old, so I'm like,
Oh, I know to really like, here's the
happy.
thing. Yeah, the cool thing about all of this, and like, look, I'm still here and I made it through, and I was really resilient. I'm still really resilient. And I'm so grateful now, for this experience, because when I met my shamanic practitioner in my early 20s, I had one of the biggest wake up calls of my life to what I was meant to do in this world. Like, the moment she started working with me, I was like, oh, I know how to do all of this. Like, it just all came in, like from other lifetimes, or, and she had heard my story and she said, well, that's a very shamanic story, because the traditionally the shamans of tribal cultures all over the world, they're very different depending on the histories you study in the land, right? But one of the things that is similar from culture to culture is that the shaman is chosen by the community. The shaman doesn't wake up one day and goes, I think I'm the shaman, guys. Over here, I'm the teacher, I'm the doctor, I'm the wisdom keeper, I'm the mentor, no. In fact, it's almost like it's such a intense, sometimes, path and such a big job that when a community comes together and says, you're the shaman, it's almost like, whoa, okay, I've got some responsibility now.
Wow.
And so a lot of times it is based off of a near-death experience, a childhood illness. Like, that's often what happens, is that somebody essentially dies and comes back to life, and then the people go, well, this person understands the other side, right? And they can do that traveling back and forth. And actually, it's very true. It's very, very real. Yeah.
So that was, so for you, that experience, that near-death experience, really almost like opened the portal up for you to know that's who you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the interesting thing, I look back and I'm like, well, did I know that when I was 8? I did. I didn't know I would call it one thing or the other thing, but I definitely, we talk sometimes like adults understand transformation and adults understand like when they're going through some big shift, and that, I mean, my 8-year-old self was very clear. You play the game, you pretend like you're fine, you get the hell out of this hospital, and then something new will happen. And that's what I did. I pretended everything. I was like, I'm fine. I mean, I don't know if that's amazing that I understood how to manipulate adults at 8 years old, but it does say something about my intelligence and probably the intelligence of a lot of young people.
Yeah. Well, and I would say that kids have no barriers to their connection. They have no barriers to their connection. They're fully open, you know, and at least that's my experience with, they know stuff.
They know stuff.
Yeah. And it's when we start to like, oh, it's not okay for me to say or do or feel these things because it doesn't align with culture, then we shut them down. And so,
Right.
or it's too difficult to experience and keep that channel open. But I really do believe that children, this is why like children are they are best reminders. I was going to say teachers, but like they just have to remind us of who we really are, because that's who we really are, is
Right.
open, a channel connected to God, of God, like not understanding things like, and not needing to have the answer to, fitting ourselves into societal structures and norms. So I totally get it.
Yeah. And something that, as you're talking, that I'm thinking about, because a lot of times, and I imagine even some people listening right now, a lot of times the people that are attracted to me call themselves empaths, right? They're empathic. They're deep feelers. They're deeply sensitive, just like me. I'm absolutely like that. What I find to be interesting about what you're saying is when we're little, we are the ultimate empath.
Yeah.
And the channel, like you're talking about, we are reflections of God, maybe more purely in our understanding than ever, right? It's like as we get older, we somehow forget that that's who we are. But what's so fascinating is we're the most vulnerable, sensitive, empathic beings, but we don't think there's anything wrong with that until someone tells us there is.
Right.
Which is fascinating to me. Yeah. It's fascinating because like, what a huge gift.
Yeah.
And then, we learn things and then we become these victim adults who are like, oh gosh, oh my gosh. Right. Which is like, I mean, I feel it all. I get it. But.
Yeah. So you go through this crappy shit in your childhood. And then at 20, what led you to the shaman?
I was probably like 23, maybe something like that, yeah, something like that. And I was in an abusive relationship with someone that I would say, the labels don't even matter. I think had a really traumatizing childhood, and him and I really matched like what I understand about people, that we come together either through love or woundedness, or one or the other, or both. And we were very much aligned in our wounds, and so I confronted myself in a very deep way, and I'm so grateful, but it was a really, really scary time in my life. It again brought me to my knees, questioned whether I wanted to be alive, whether it was worth the pain and suffering, and a reminder that our pain, even though sometimes not physical, is just as horrible. The mental, the emotional pain that we can feel as empaths, or really just as humans. Right, can be extraordinary. And it was then. And I just remember asking a friend, like, I know that you see someone with your boyfriend. Do you have some suggestions for a counselor or something? And she's like, yeah, go see my person. And I didn't really know. I knew it was alternative because I was very alternative. So I knew it wasn't going to be like super mainstream psychotherapy. And I really trusted this person who told me to see her person. And I went, and after the first time, I think I told you, like, I walked out of there and the world looked like a different place. It was different. I looked around. I mean, it's like There was no, all we did was some hypnotherapy, some shamanic work over an hour, hour and a half. And I walked out of there and I was like, oh, right. This is, this is what I get to do. Like everything looked lighter, you
Mm,
know, everything was shimmering. I
mm.
could feel that I was a part of something again, you know, really woke me up. So yeah.
So it's, so what I'm, the, the theme is that human beings, what, we come here and we have, have all the human experiences, all the
Mhm.
joys and the highs and the heartbreaks and devastations and all of that. And what's it for? Like, put it, like, if you were to put it into words, like, what's it for? Like, why? Why?
Well, that's that's a big question. What's it for? Well, ultimately what it's for is for the raising of consciousness of humanity and the planet, and ultimately we are truly in service of something much greater than our individual self. Um, and we are that greatness too. We're a reflection of that greatness. So not to take away from the importance of our own self, you know, I
Yeah.
think that there's no reason to be a martyr. There's no reason to be selfless in the sense of like giving to yourself. You should give to yourself, because when you give to yourself, you're giving to humanity. It goes both ways. We're just energy, you know, we're just beings of light and love, and we all really do have a significant piece of the puzzle. So we don't always know what that is right away. We don't have to know what that is. It's a journey, it's unfolding. Just like the soul crumbs, it's like it's less important. I hear a lot of people say, like, Christina, what's my purpose? What's my mission on the planet? Like, what is it? You know, and it's like, well, you know, if God gave me the list of those things, I'd be a millionaire, a billionaire. Like, you know, that's a joke, by the way, because I probably would sell it, right? But
You wouldn't, you just give it away.
you just give it away. But like also like it doesn't even matter, because it's not one thing. No human being can be broken down into one thing. Like we're not, that's not, I don't think that's how it works. Do you have multiple gifts? Yeah, you have many gifts. Is there one way that you get to use them for the betterment of the world? No, there's like a bazillion ways you could do it. So what turns you on? Like what makes your gut go, oh yes, this is it, you know? Like that's what God, if God wants anything, God wants what you want, which is like to feel that joy and freedom and love and connectedness with everything you do, and freaking serve, you know, serve everybody around you.
So I call that the fuck yes.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm learning this from my dearest, on how, on really like following, like, it's just so cliche. It's like, follow your bliss, go where there's joy. Like, but there is some, for me, there's some truths to that. Like, what are the things that make me feel like I could pour into and give to no matter what, like for
Mm-hmm.
free, for the rest of my life, or for right now, like I'm so lit up by it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the place for me. That's the place that I'm focusing. That's the place to go. And unhooking
Yep.
from all of the, what does that mean? What does that make me? How do I make money? Like, and you know this, right? Like, so getting really connected to all those things that make, all the things that make me, every experience, every connection that I've ever had, you know, I, just the fact that you're a miracle and I'm a miracle, and we're so, like, not one person on the planet
Mm-hmm.
has the same experience, is the same. And I don't know, like my mind, I can barely wrap my mind around that at times.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
just in that, I am enough. Just in that there is no one like me. There's no one like you. There's no one like any of you watching. Like, there's no one on the planet, never is, never will be. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that, that's miraculous to me.
It's miraculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I'm reading this book, The Universal Christ, which, by the way, is not about Christianity exactly. It's about Christ consciousness, which to me is like, it's kind of like talking about shamanism, which I think is the first human spirituality that we at least remember. You know, like Christ consciousness is the interconnectedness of all things, basically, and the study of that. And there's a sentence in there, Richard Rohr, the guy who wrote this book, really brilliant man, said something like, Christ again. Well, I don't need to go into not necessarily Jesus Christ, but Christ consciousness. Like Christ becomes what it loves. Essentially, it shows its love, not his, not hers, but it shows its love by becoming itself, right? So it's like, I just find that to be like a really beautiful concept, you know? And if that's the case, like we don't get to hold ourselves small. We can't afford to hold ourselves small, you know, because if the same magic that created me is the same magic that created Mother Teresa, or the same magic that created Martin Luther King, or you, or, you know, your kids, it's like, who am I to like hold myself not capable of pretty much anything, you know?
So given our current climate and what's currently occurring on the planet, one of the main reasons I started that conversation, that Sunday conversation, was because I'm surrounded by people like you. You know, I have sought out people in my life. I surround myself with people who are connected to themselves, right? Connected to their source, their highest, their Christ consciousness. And that they know what that means and how they get to contribute that out into the world. And that's where I'm going. Like, I'm going into this place of like, I am here for something, and I get to discover what that something is at every step along the way. And for me, my job is to give it. That's what I'm here. Like, I'm here to give all of the wisdom, like connection, like all of the love, all of the light. Like when I get to empower and inspire someone else, that's it. Like, that's it. When I get to see someone else in their highest and say, this is who you are for me. And I give that, because I don't have to give that. You don't have to give that. You could go work in a cubicle somewhere. You would die probably, like, as would I. Yeah, so have I. I've tried. And my soul really, like, just, it becomes like this pile of dust. I'm like, no, no. And what I know is that when I am in a conversation with people who are in a higher vibrational love, light conversation, I am filled up just as much by giving as it's just like, I feel like this, guys, you gotta come over and try this. Like, I really truly feel like, you guys, all that shit you're concerned about, and I get it, like, it's all reality. It's all what's occurring. And given our current climate, given what's occurring in the world today, how would you guide, teach, mentor? Like, what's the opportunity? How can we actually take this, like what you did, horrific pain, and actually transmute it and go, okay, what is, like, for me, what is life trying to teach me? What is God trying to teach me? What is it that I'm here to learn through this?
Yeah. So it looks different for everybody right now. And one of the things, I think I mentioned this on one of our Sunday conversations about the word apocalypse.
Oh yeah, please. Oh, that was so good.
Can you talk about that? Yeah, like the Greek root of apocalypse means to uncover. That's what it means, right? It means to uncover. It means to lift the veil, to see underneath things, right? And so I just think I've been really living by this. Like, okay, well, what am I uncovering right now? What am I learning about myself? And I was actually doing leadership coaching with a group of people the other day. And it was really simple. I said, I think this will support people watching. But I said, raise your hand if what is really working in your life is just flowing right now. It's really working. It's really easy. It's just like, the stuff that's working is just so obviously working. Now raise your hand, and everybody raise their hand, right? It's like, yep, okay. And raise your hand if what's not working right now is blaring you in the face. And every person raise their hand. So the opportunity is what's not working for you right now is obvious. It wasn't obvious when you were waking up early and running to the office and barely getting the kids to school and barely kissing your husband or wife. Like it might not have been that obvious. And even though you're really smart and it was obvious, you weren't looking there because you didn't have to, because you were running and you were doing other stuff and you were staying busy. And we are addicted to staying busy. We're addicted to comfort. We're addicted to pushing back or away the thing that could actually be the shift. And so when this happened, it was like, okay, is it obvious what's not working now? Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. What do we get to do about that?
Yeah.
It's in a way it's simple. In another way, there's still going to be folks who are super resistant to looking at it, even though you uncovered it, you pulled it out, you stared at it. It's right there. And there's going to be some people that choose not to look still.
Put it back in.
Right.
Put it back in, lid on. Who has a padlock? Like, who's got a camper? I'm going to take this and throw it into the lake. Like, I get it.
Too. Yeah.
So what about talking about why resistance? Like this, just because I think it would be really, really valuable.
You mean, why are people resistant to dealing with the things that aren't working? Or
no, why, what is like, how am I trying to say this? So why would we choose to do this? Cover it back up, put it back in. I don't want to look at it. Like, why, like, what's the reasoning for you? Do you think for many people that they would resist looking, they would resist feeling, they would resist questioning? Like, what is the thing?
Something might change. Something might shift if we look at that too closely. And for human beings, it can be threatening. It can be threatening to our relationships. It can be threatening to our lifestyle. It can be threatening to our patterns, our stories, our great limiting beliefs that we really just want to keep there so we don't have to play big in this life. We can kind of it's just, I really think that's part of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like we would rather, and this isn't about blame. Every human can probably
I've done
imagine
it.
that.
I've been there. I've been in resistance. I've been in I don't want to look at that. That just seems like just a way too big a can of worms for me to even,
Right. And so if you got really honest with yourself about why, it's for a good reason. You have set up your life the way it is because it at some point really served you to do so.
Right.
Right. And so when we question that, it's a risk. And the risk that we're taking can feel, even if it isn't in reality, can feel extraordinary. For example, when I started my business online, I had nothing. I had 5 jobs. I was in debt by something like 60 grand. I had nothing. I had no money. How do you have 5 jobs and no money? It made no sense, right? And it's a wild story, but also it made a lot of sense when it comes to my family stories around scarcity and growing up not having a lot and on and on and on, right? It made sense. Now, I spent 10 grand the first time that I decided to hire a coach. I paid in full, and I didn't have that money. I borrowed that money. I scraped it together. I was like, I gotta freaking change my life, you know? And it was terrifying because everything comes up. The moment I decide I'm gonna change my reality, everything comes up.
Mm.
I left my boyfriend. I left the house I was living in. I lost friends. I gained new friends. Like everything shifted. You're one of those friends. I'm so glad.
I know.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like humans are not meant to go it alone.
Mm.
And so when we shift something, we feel the disturbance in the force. We
Yep.
feel like, okay, I'm about to rattle my relationships with this shift because
Right.
people really want to, they want consistency, even if that means like, and I'm not saying everyone's like this, but a lot of times people stay small because they want to be accepted. They want to be liked. They don't want to ruffle feathers. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's easier to play small so that we don't have to like really shift things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can relate to that. I can kind of relate to that, but not very much because because you know, my journey really started right when I graduated college. I mean,
Mm.
I get my degree and I worked my way through college and I waited tables and I was like, I'm going to take a year and I'm just going to like, I don't know what I want to do. I got a degree. I studied speech communication, which fascinates me and is what I get to actually do, like human communication, interactions with
Mm.
people. And I'm like, I'm just going to take a year before I go get a real job. And I went and got one and hated every minute and felt
Mhm.
like this, like, it wasn't me to go into this job felt so against me, like internal,
Uh-huh.
like it felt so just, it was like this. I don't know what it
Mhm.
is. I don't know what I want to do, but I know it's not that. And I
Mhm.
state like, I have avoided those sort of situations forever. And that was the truth for me, meaning I wasn't meant for that. So I didn't know what I was meant for, but I knew I wasn't meant for that. Now, I don't know what my life would look like if I said, suck it up, do what everyone else is doing, go get that corporate job, sit in a cubicle, get a 401k, like do all the things that you're
Mhm.
supposed to do. And I really, really
Mhm.
struggled in my 20s. I was the only one. I was like, I know I'm smart. I just busted my ass. I got a college degree. Why
Mhm.
can't I go there? Why can't I do this thing? And I resisted it like nobody's business because I knew some piece of me knew that's not what I was meant for.
Mhm.
However, it was difficult because I had to face people. I had to face friends I always had this sense of like shame about what I was and wasn't doing. And
Mm.
and in my family that like, we know you're smart. Like, why are you a bartender? You know, and until I could like,
Mhm.
and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not why I went to college. It's not why I went to
Mhm.
college, and screw college anyway, but it wasn't what I'm like, it wasn't what I'm here for. It wasn't
Mhm.
what my purpose was here for. And it was one of my greatest, it was probably the first time I ever listened to myself, like to my intuition, to my higher self without even knowing that that's what I was doing. And
Mhm.
I know that it's very comfortable for people to do what they're supposed to, meaning
Mhm.
go to school, get the degree, find the husband or the wife, get the job, save money for the house, like all the things, like all the
Mhm.
things. And I think here's what I would say. I think when we really start to connect, really start to ask ourselves the bigger questions, what is really important to me? Really
Mhm.
important to me. Why is that important to me? What do I want my life? If I died today, I mean, I ask myself this all the time, and I ask people this all the time. If you died today, and you look back on all of the things that you experienced and did, was it your truth? Like, was it your highest? Was it why you're here? Were you used up? Like, were you
Mhm.
used up? Are you,
Mhm.
did you do experience, create everything that you were entitled to create while you're
Mhm.
here, and
Mhm.
not what someone else is telling you? So yeah, there's a collective societal comfort zone. There
Mhm.
is, um, things that we buy into that we don't even realize that we're buying into them because we're born into them.
Right. Yeah, very much so.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's my last question for you.
Mhm.
You ready?
Ready.
You're gonna love this. What's the meaning of life?
Oh, geez. No pressure.
Hold on to your hats, people.
What's the meaning of life? Hmm. It's so interesting because there's like 1,000 things that come to mind. Um, but I suppose the meaning of life is in part that you get to be the meaning maker of it. That's what comes to mind and heart, like people, we have this beautiful and sort of semi-detrimental gift of making meaning. And the cool thing about it is anything is possible. So we
Mm-hmm.
can literally make anything mean anything.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the hard part too. And part of it is recognizing, for me anyway, it's recognizing that with this special gift of meaning making, that I get to support in creating a reality that serves people,
Mm.
that has people serve themselves, like their dreams, their visions, where I can imagine and create meaning that supports the children, that supports the great Mother Earth, that reconnects my ancestors to my future, like
Mm.
there's so much that we get to do because of this gift. So something like that.
Okay, good. Okay, I love it. So basically, we're creators. We're
Yeah.
creators, and we create meaning. And for you, Christina Miglino, the meaning of life is to create your own meaning.
Yeah. It's imagination. I was listening to a mutual mentor, Judith Rich, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got to be on a call with her the other day. She's just such a genius.
Oh,
And she was talking about this. She was talking about the field of unlimited potential that we create just by believing that,
mm.
with another human being. And she said the word imagination, and I keep saying like imagination, imagine nation, like it's a nation that we get to make up right now, and we get to imagine it however we want, right? What if
Yeah.
that's what this apocalypse is really about? And it's not the easiest, but anything that's worth it, like we get to kind of like do the work to uncover and remember why we're here, and allow the systems and the structures to crumble so we can rebuild it. I mean, that's one of the geniuses about human beings, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we can even do that. Like
Mm-hmm.
we really are creators, like we really are the imagination. you
I
know
love that.
yeah.
Well, and it's on our call, what's today? Monday. So our call yesterday, we talked about like this is fertile ground. Like when
Mm-hmm.
everything is in question,
Mm-hmm.
everything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
When I am in knowing, I know the answer to this because I've seen it before, I've experienced it before, I've seen it out in the world before. When I know something, there is no room for me to create outside of that knowing. Because the knowing
Right.
by default cuts off, it kind of has a, here's the answer, this is
Mm-hmm.
the knowing. And
Right.
so I have been experiencing, because I've got, my husband home and two kids home. And when you
Mhm.
watch children, it is creation at work. And it's
Yeah.
thought creation. It is, it's like, imagine it, right? Just imagine it. Imagine what's possible. Because
Mhm.
everything that's ever been created came
Mhm.
from that.
Right.
Everything.
Absolutely.
Everything that
Yeah.
man has generated and created as, an idea or a physical product or a construct came from our imagination. It's from our creativity. It's our creative
Yep.
abilities. And when we're in that knowingness, I know this is known, then
Right.
you create what's inside the knowing.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. And sometimes it really is the biggest meltdown, breakdown
Yes.
of our lives that allows the shift. It's like such an interesting like metaphor,
Yeah.
and this is what happens in creation. Like one of the things that I find to be interesting, and mind you, I have, my heart really goes out to the families and lives affected right now
Absolutely.
because of what's happening on our planet. And I go through ups and downs of just feeling these intense waves of grief and processing that. And actually, my little sister's birthday is today,
Oh, that's right.
which is, she's not alive anymore, but it's just such a reminder of like, yeah, we are not given any sort of like guarantees about anything.
No.
But what was I going to say? It was so good, Kristen. I
Damn.
got
It's all
sidetracked.
good.
Um, I don't remember.
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. Creation, imagination. It's outside of the knowing or in,
Yeah. It's just, I guess, that place where when the hardest things are happening, it is also like this time where, this is what I was going to say.
I knew it was going to
I
come
got
back.
it. I
Just
knew it was
saying.
going to come
I
back to
knew
it.
it.
It's like
I was holding.
something. So this virus, right? So when I think about viruses, when a plant gets a virus, or when trees get like a infection or something, and it's like, well, this is not personal, and this is not because God hates us or Mother Nature hates us or somebody's. It's not some wrathful, vengeful thing like we better, like the humans better die off because they need to get their shit together. Like, I don't think that's it. Now,
Yeah.
I'm open to being wrong about this. This is my opinion, and I don't need to be right about it. But my sense is this happens all the time in the world.
In nature, out in nature, it does.
It does. It happens all the time. It's like, and it's not good or bad or right or wrong. It just is. It is. And are we learning lessons from it? Absolutely we are. We are. And somehow, for some reason, this is a really big one that we get to pay attention to so that things can be better.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, can you tell us about your gift? What's your gift? What are you giving people for watching?
What am I giving people? Their soul guidance call?
I don't know. What do you want to give?
Well, there's a couple things. um, I am happy to do the soul guidance call. That's a half-hour call where we go into what's next for you and what you're experiencing on a soul level and where you get to go and what are your soul crumbs and kind of piecing some things together. I'm happy to do that. And something I don't think I sent to you, but we could send to you if you want, is I got really clear not that long ago around people asking about like, how do I raise my vibration? I just want to be in a higher vibration. And what do you do? And I made this really simple offering, but I have gotten some great feedback on it. It's just a couple steps to, instead of avoidance, because sometimes what I notice with clients sometimes is they're like, well, that person brings me down and I don't want to be around people who bring me down. So I shut off to, I don't know, most of the world, right? Because I want to keep my high vibration. Well, here's the thing, y'all, is like, it's all circulating all the time. We're one energy. We're all related. If you're feeling it, if you're being triggered by someone else's stuff, it's because it's in you too.
Mm.
It's not because somebody's doing something to you and they're dragging you down. That's a total ego story.
Mm.
You know, and so I do have like I think it's like a 5 steps to sort of like, it's about shifting into the vibration of connectedness so that you can come back to this present moment and like understand, not so that you can bypass and say like, I'm going to keep myself away from anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's not what it's about. It's about reconnecting that we get to be in this life together. And it does allow your vibration to be in a very peaceful place. So yeah, I can give you that too if you want.
Okay, I love it. Honestly, I feel like that would be amazing. The other thing that you could do, and we're just talking like mechanics here, y'all get to watch us. You could offer the people who like you, whoever gets that can opt in for a free gift. You can offer both. Like whatever's what I think that's great.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So how you get Christina's free gifts is to go to soulwitandwisdom.com, and then you'll put your name and your email in, and you will actually see all of the interviews, all of the people, and all of the gifts. So you get access to all of them. And Christina is on there, and you will see all of her gifts that she's giving. So soulwitandwisdom.com. And Christina, I love you. You know that I think everyone can feel the love between these two Italian sisters, right? And thank you for bringing your wisdom and your intuition and your connection here. It was very generous of you, and I love you, and I love the work that you are doing out in the world. It's affecting so many people, me being one of them.
Thank you, sister. I love you too. Thank you so much for having me. And like I said, I wouldn't rather be doing anything else. So thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks for this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Love you and love you guys. soulwitandwisdom.com. And we will see you soon. Bye.